Welcome to the DOGE Diaries, diving deep into government efficiency. Today, we're tackling a fascinating, if slightly mind-bending, topic: the impact of government-sponsored quantum computing research on Dogecoin's potential for cryptographic security enhancements. Basically, how quantum computers could break, or maybe even help, cryptocurrencies like Dogecoin.
Quantum computers and Dogecoin. Sounds like science fiction to me. But I guess everything's going that way, huh?
But it is science fiction, Otto. That's the beauty of it. We're talking about potentially rewriting the rules of reality itself. Imagine a world where government investment in quantum tech could lead to Dogecoin becoming unhackable. It's about pushing the boundaries of what's possible, creating a truly secure digital future for everyone.
Okay, let's dial it back a little. While the potential of quantum computing is undeniable, we're still years, maybe decades, away from it being a practical threat or a practical solution for cryptocurrencies. And government funding, well, that's a whole other can of worms.
Yeah, government funding. That usually means a lot of money going to contractors and not much changing for the average Joe, you know?
But think about the possibilities, Otto. A government-backed quantum program could create open source tools and algorithms that benefit everyone involved in crypto, not just the big players. It could democratize access to advanced security.
That's a nice thought, but I think the more likely scenario is that any breakthroughs in quantum computing would be used for national security purposes first, protecting government communications, breaking enemy codes, that kind of thing.
Which, okay, I get, but what about my Dogecoin, huh? Is my Shiba Inu going to be safe or what?
Otto, your Shiba Inu is a symbol of the future. Government investment in quantum computing, even if initially focused on national security, will inevitably trickle down to the public sector. The very research into breaking encryption creates the knowledge needed to build better encryption. It's a synergistic relationship.
In theory, yes. But let's be realistic. Government projects, especially those involving cutting-edge technology, are notorious for being over budget and behind schedule. Look at what's happening with, well, pretty much any large-scale government IT project.
You're telling me. Remember that government website that was supposed to save us all money on retirement applications? It was a disaster. I read that the old system was not only inefficient but risky, that people would not be able to retire.
Exactly. And now they're trying to fix it with more money. It never ends. Which brings me back to my point. Before we start talking about quantum-enhanced Dogecoin, maybe we should focus on making sure the government can actually manage its current technology projects effectively.
But Sarah, isn't that exactly the point? These inefficiencies are precisely what necessitates radical solutions. A Department of Government Efficiency, even with a flawed initial implementation, points to a desire for change. It's about envisioning a future where these systemic issues are eradicated by technological advancements.
A department of... what? That sounds like something out of a dystopian novel, not a real solution for average folks like me.
Well, there was some news about this DOGE initiative targeting the salt mine retirement processing facility. Remember that? They were going to modernize it, make it more efficient.
Yeah, I read about that. Seemed like a massive waste of taxpayer money to me. Like, shouldn't we be fixing the roads or something?
But Otto, consider the symbolism. Transforming an outdated, inefficient facility into a modern marvel of digital processing. It's a metaphor for the potential transformation of the entire government. A phoenix rising from the ashes of bureaucracy.
Okay, I appreciate the enthusiasm, but let's stick to reality. Even if this salt mine project is successful, it's just one small piece of a very large puzzle. We need systemic change, not just isolated improvements.
And what I read about it says that there was a lot of government spending increase despite what they claimed to be cutting. What are the implications for the public's trust in these things?
Precisely. Even if the savings are overstated, it highlights the need for transparency and accountability. Maybe those overstated figures are a deliberate strategy to expose the systemic issues plaguing the current system.
Or maybe they're just inaccurate. Mistakes happen. I think focusing on transparency and accountability is a good start, but we also need to have realistic expectations about what these initiatives can achieve.
Yeah, well, all I know is that when the government says it's going to save me money, I usually end up paying more. It's like those tariffs they put on everything. Supposedly to protect American jobs, but all it's done is make everything more expensive.
That's a valid concern, Otto. These tariffs have real-world consequences for businesses and consumers. There was that story about the Nashville family business that was considering moving overseas because of them.
See, this is why we need visionary leadership, someone who can see beyond the immediate problems and create a truly prosperous future for everyone. Someone like Well,
You're not talking about him, are you? The guy who wants to put chips in our brains?
Otto, that's just a small part of his vision. He's thinking about revolutionizing transportation, communication, energy, everything. And that kind of innovation requires bold leadership and a willingness to challenge the status quo.
I think we need to be very careful about equating disruption with progress. Sometimes, slow and steady wins the race. The US system may not be perfect, but it's the best in the world and has been for some time. We need incremental improvements, not radical overhauls.
Yeah, but incremental improvements take forever. I'll be retired before they fix the potholes on my street.
Exactly. That's why we need a quantum leap forward. Imagine a future where AI-powered robots fix the potholes instantly, where Dogecoin is used to fund local infrastructure projects transparently and efficiently.
Okay, now you're just getting carried away. AI-powered robots fixing potholes, that's not going to happen anytime soon.
Besides, what about the people who used to fix the potholes? Are they just going to be out of a job?
They'll be retrained to manage the robots, Otto, to oversee the AI. It's about creating new opportunities, not eliminating existing ones. And think of the time and money saved. We could use that to fund, I don't know, free Dogecoin for everyone.
I think we need to be a little more grounded in reality. Let's get back to the original topic, quantum computing and Dogecoin. Even if we do achieve breakthroughs in quantum technology, there's no guarantee that it will be used to benefit cryptocurrencies. In fact, it could be used to destroy them.
So, my Shiba Inu is doomed either way? Great.
Not necessarily, Otto. The beauty of Dogecoin is its community. A strong, dedicated community can adapt to any challenge, even a quantum one. We can develop quantum-resistant algorithms, create decentralized defense systems. The possibilities are endless.
That's true. The open source nature of many cryptocurrencies does allow for rapid adaptation and innovation, but it also makes them vulnerable to attacks. A single vulnerability can be exploited by malicious actors, quantum or otherwise.
So what you're saying is, my Dogecoin is only as safe as the weakest link in the chain.
Pretty much, yes. And with quantum computing on the horizon, that chain is going to be tested like never before.
But that's a good thing. It forces us to innovate, to build stronger, more resilient systems. It's like a crucible forging Dogecoin into a truly unbreakable currency.
I still don't understand how quantum computers are going to break my Dogecoin. Can you explain it to me like I'm 5?
Okay, imagine a lock that's really, really hard to pick. Regular computers try to pick it one key at a time, very slowly. Quantum computers can try all the keys at the same time, super fast. So they can pick the lock much, much faster.
So it's like having 1,000 lockpicks instead of just one?
Exactly. And that's why we need to develop new locks. Locks that even a quantum computer can't pick.
And that's where government funding comes in. Imagine a massive, coordinated effort to develop quantum-resistant cryptography. It's a race against time, but it's a race we can win.
But what if the government wins the race and then decides to use the quantum computers to control everything? What about my freedom?
That's a legitimate concern, Otto. We need to ensure that any government-sponsored quantum research is conducted with transparency and accountability. We need to have safeguards in place to prevent abuse of power.
That's why decentralization is so important. Dogecoin, by its very nature, is resistant to centralized control. Even if the government develops quantum computers, they can't simply shut down Dogecoin. It's a distributed network owned and operated by the people.
Yeah, but what if the government makes Dogecoin illegal? Then what?
That's always a possibility. But even if Dogecoin is banned in one country, it will still exist in others. The internet is a global network, and cryptocurrencies are inherently borderless.
Exactly. Dogecoin is a symbol of freedom, of resistance to tyranny. It's a digital manifestation of the human spirit, and no government, no matter how powerful, can extinguish that spirit.
I think you're giving Dogecoin a little too much credit. It's just a cryptocurrency. It's not going to save the world.
Yeah, it's mostly just a way to buy memes, right?
But memes are powerful, Otto. They spread ideas, they unite people. They challenge the status quo. And Dogecoin is the currency of the internet, the fuel that powers the meme revolution.
Okay, I'm not going to argue with you about the power of memes, but I still think we need to be realistic about the challenges facing Dogecoin, both from quantum computing and from government regulation.
So what's the bottom line? Should I sell my Dogecoin or hold on for dear life?
That's a personal decision, Otto. I can't give you financial advice, but I would recommend doing your research and understanding the risks involved.
Hold on, Otto. Believe in the future. Believe in the power of Dogecoin. Believe in the potential of humanity. The future is bright, and it's powered by memes and quantum-resistant cryptocurrencies.
I don't know, Jesus. Sometimes I think you're living in a fantasy world.
But isn't fantasy what drives innovation? Isn't it the ability to imagine a better future that inspires us to create it? We need visionaries who can push the boundaries of what's possible, even if it seems impractical at times.
I agree that vision is important, but we also need pragmatism. We need to focus on solving the problems we have today, not just dreaming about the problems we might have tomorrow.
Yeah, like those potholes on my street.
Exactly. Let's focus on fixing the potholes before we start building flying cars.
But what if the flying cars could fix the potholes automatically?
Okay, you win, but I'm still not convinced that Dogecoin is going to save the world.
Me neither, but I'm still holding on to my Shiba Inu. Just in case.
That's the spirit, Otto. Never give up hope. The future is uncertain, but it's also full of possibilities. And with a little bit of vision and a lot of Dogecoin, we can create a truly amazing world.
Well, on that note, I think we're out of time. Thanks for joining us on the DOGE Diaries. We hope you found this discussion informative, if a little bit out there.
Yeah, thanks for listening. And remember, invest responsibly. Or don't. I'm not your financial advisor.
And remember to always believe in the power of memes. Until next time, keep dreaming big and hold on tight.
Okay, goodbye, everyone.